All right, well, thank you for joining us again. This is Kinstretch for the extremities. My name's Dr. Steve Piper. I'm a chiropractor here at Monash Health Collective and a Kinstretch instructor. I am blessed to be with Demelza Clay again, who is a lifelong skier and surfer, and she knows all about how much her extremities need to move for her to do the sport. So for skiing, obviously you're fixed in a boot, but you still need to have good flexion extension of the ankles and the wrists, certainly for surfing for sure. So today we're going to quickly go through some of the exercises you can do for your toes, your ankles, your knee, and your wrist and elbows. So to start, we'll start in what's called a combat stance. We'll get you to bring your left foot up, and this is a combat stance. If you're not comfortable sitting in this position, you can always back that off into more of a lunge stance. And here, what we're going to start with is her just finding end range position of the ankle. So she's going to bring herself forward and not out to the side until her heel just about pops off the ground. And that is end range position of the ankle joint. And again, the guidelines for Kinstretch is always find the position that you're trying to get in, let it accommodate for 20 to 30 seconds before you start doing anything in that position. So you're going to hold position for 20 to 30 seconds. Now she's going to start to gas pedal her foot down, pushing down into the ground. Same as we've done in other classes. You're going to push down with isometric force, 20% effort, 40% effort, 60% effort, 80% effort. Take that deep breath. Maximum safest effort. You're going to push down, hold that for a 10 count. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. She's going to hold this position without coming out of the position. If she comes out of the position, she's going to lose all that hard work. Now she's going to try to lift her foot up as if I was going to slide a sheet of paper. So now you're squeezing the regressive side, again, trying to fight for joint space. This should not be easy. Holding 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Resting her foot back down to the ground. She should have more joint space in there. You see, hopefully you saw that at home. She gained an extra 3 degrees. I know what you're thinking. 3 degrees is not a lot, but in terms of joint space, it's huge. Second round, 20% effort, 40% effort, 60% effort, 80%. Deep breath. Maximum safest effort. Pushing down at the end range of joint space. Breathing out. Trying to squeeze up. Squeeze the top of the foot up to the shin. Shouldn't be a lot of movement there if you're at end range. Hold 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Don't lose position. 1, stay where you are. And now that you've got that end range space, we want to kinetically move in and around that space. So here, she's going to rotate the tibia in through the joint space, pushing into the end range, rotating 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go back the other way. 1, trying to maximize how much of that end space that you're using. 2, 3, 4, 5. Go back the other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One more time the other way. 1, 2, 3. And I always say you can use your hand as a guide. 4, 5. Good. And then we'll get you to switch up to the other side.
Could have at least told me to get a pedicure, Steve.
You don't need a pedicure. You can stretch. So the key factor here is as you go and find your end range, make sure that you're not getting more space from the hip by simply just turning in. You want to stay right over top of that ankle joint until you feel the the heel just about pop off the ground. Start to push down. Ramping up. Fighting for joint space. Maximum safest effort. Push down as hard as you can, using the tissue, the progressive angular tissue. Deflate, letting the tension go, not losing the end range space. Now you're going to contract the regressive side as you squeeze up, tighten up the joint space, hold. And slowly relax. You should get a little bit more space in there. Remember, you're not hunting for like 40 degrees of more space. You're hunting for 4 degrees of more space. Start to ramp up tension, making sure the heel's not leaving the ground, pushing down 20%, 40%, 60%, 80%. Take a deep breath. Holding tension, pack that air into abdominal space. Maximum safest effort, push down. Breathe out. Take another breath in. Squeeze up in that very narrow space. And you're going to slowly relax without losing the joint space. Then you're going to go into your small circles. 1, 2. You can always put your hand on that for rotational feedback. 3, 4, 5. Go back the other way. 1, 2. Slow it down. 3, 4, 5. Go back the other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Back the other way. 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. So that is ankle range of motion that you're trying to improve upon. Now we'll get you to come into a quadruped position, and then we'll focus on the toes. For the toes, we'll do both sides at the same time. So here, you're going to tuck the toes underneath you on both sides. Now, most of us will have 3, maybe 4 toes contacting the ground. It's not likely, just the way the feet are shaped, it's not likely that the pinkies are going to touch the ground. But here, we want to make sure that the foot stays straight up and down. And we're just going to get Demelza to back up. Oh, sorry. Keeping your toes there, you're going to squeeze into end space for the toes. And now she's going to bring some body weight down on top of her toes. And that's not going to feel good. Start to push down into the ground after you've reached accommodation period. You're going to push your toes down into the ground, ramping up tension. You okay with that?
Both at the same time?
Both at the same time, yeah. It's almost like she's going to shoot herself forward, but her body weight keeps her in place. Okay, so maximum safest effort. You can see the blanching in her toes because she's pushing down as hard as she can. And then let the tension go. And here, she's going to try to close up the space between her knee and her toe just by contracting the toes, not by actually moving. She's going to squeeze the toes up towards the knee, holding that. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax. Now you can back the knee up, leaving the toe where it is, putting the toe into more extension, aka more pressure.
Pain.
Not pain, just pressure, just pressure. Okay, start to push down again, ramping up, pushing down. Working in toe extension is not supposed to be easy. Take a deep breath. Maximum safest effort, pushing down into the ground. And then breathe the tension out. Imagine trying to squeeze the toes up to the knee. You're shortening this distance here. You're squeezing together. Hold. The look says it all, yeah? That's fair. Okay. So now she's done both her ankle joint and the toe extension. Now she combined both of these into one really nice fluid movement. So now you're going to, using your hands, you're going to back up off of your toes, rolling onto your foot. Good. And so now you're trying to squeeze your heels down to the ground. Good. Hold that. And then she's going to kinetically come forward again, trying to control the descent using her toes. So you're going to drop your knees down to the ground. You're going to try to hold that as long as you can until it comes down. And then she's going to peel back up into a deep squat position, trying to squeeze her heels down into the ground, squeeze. And then again, roll forward. She's going to try to control this descent as long as she can hold it. Hold, 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 descend. Good. And then if she's okay with that, she can peel one up, two up into a deep squat position, and then come down again. If you can't do that at home, use your hands so that you're not using more of your hip joint. This is control for the feet and the toes. Good. One more time. Good. So try to pull down, squeeze the heels down first, and then descend down in through the toes and ankle. Good. Okay, let's go back into combat stance. So that is the ankle and toes. Now we're going to work on the knee joint and the tibia as it comes up, almost straight up and down into the knee joint. So here we're going to get Demelza to block out the hip by squeezing the knee. And here she should, all of that range that she just worked so hard for, she should be able to lift her foot off the ground, clearing most of the space. And as she pins her hip, now she can turn the tibia, so that's the tibia turning, out to the side. And she's still holding her foot off the ground. She's going to turn in, holding her foot off the ground, lift up, squeeze, hold. 3 count hold, 1, 2, 3, turn back the other way. 1, 2, 3, turn back the other way. 1, 2, 3. Don't be afraid if this is too easy for you at home. Don't be afraid to put some kind of obstacle there that forces you to travel over. So go back the other way without touching my hands. Squeeze back. 1, 2, 3, and then the other way. 1, 2, 3. Come back the other way. 1, 2, 3. Good. Relax. Let's switch over to the other side. This is knee joint with tibial rotation. Okay. So here you're going to block out the hip by squeezing the sides of the knee. You're going to lift the foot into dorsiflexion of the foot. You're squeezing the top of the foot up to the shin. And then you're simply going to turn that position, internal rotation of the tibia. 1, 2, 3. Rotate out. 1, 2, 3. And then in. 1, 2, 3. And again, the obstacle might be a little different on this side, but you can use an obstacle to travel over. 1, 2, 3. Turn back the other way. 1, 2, 3. Come back. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. One more time, internal. 1, 2, 3. Good. So I'll get you to come down into quadruped position on your hands. So that's basically the lower half. So toes, ankle, and knee. And now she's in a quadruped position. And what we'll get her to do is focus on her wrists for the time being. So here she's got her fingers pointed away. She's going to move her body weight over top of her wrists and bringing her knees a little bit further underneath. Good, that's good. Just like we did with the ankle, she's gonna gas pedal her hand down into the ground. Push down with both hands, pushing down, gas pedaling down, amping up the tension. You can see the angle here. This probably wasn't as clear with the ankle, but the angle of the wrist, you can see she's got good extension through the wrist. Maximum safest effort, she pushes down. And then without shifting her body weight whatsoever, she's gonna relax that tension. She's gonna try to lift her hand as if I was gonna slide that sheet of paper underneath her fingers, lift up. Squeeze, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, don't lose position. 1, that's gonna give her a little extra space. You can see she can come forward a little bit more on top of that wrist. She's going to push down. Second round, isometric contraction. She's in a deeper position. She gained an extra 2, maybe 3 degrees of wrist extension. Pushing down, ramping up. Maximum safest effort. Take a deep breath. Push down as hard as you safely can. Breathe out the tension. Try to squeeze into extension. Squeeze with both hands. Hold. And then slowly relax off the wrist. So that is wrist extension. For wrist flexion, we'll give her a bit of blood flow in the wrist. And it's not going to feel good, but the sensation will dissipate after a couple seconds. Okay? So for wrist flexion, we'll just do one wrist at a time. Here she's going to bend her fingers back towards her body, using her body as a support. So widen up your stance with your knees. You can come right back onto your feet, right? So now you can place this in the middle, splaying the fingers, trying to get the back of the wrist without the elbow getting involved. And now she's going to backhand into the ground, ramping up tension. And this side of the wrist, as you push down, is a lot more sensitive than the other side, so be gentle to your wrist. No sharp pain allowed. It's going to feel very achy to do this, but that's okay as long as there's no sharp pain. So take a deep breath. Push down as hard as you safely can. And here, when she releases the tension, she's going to go to the regressive side and try to make a fist. So she's going to squeeze, squeeze and hold. Imagine I was going to come and try to peel that fist apart. Squeeze as hard as you can. Don't let me peel it apart. And slowly relax. We'll just trade up to the other side. Good. Let the blood flow come back in there. And maybe what we'll get you to do is just turn so everyone at home can see what's going on. Good. So back of the hand is flat on the ground. The wrist joint is just clearing the ground. Splay the hand as much as you can and start to push down. Make sure the elbow doesn't bend. Ramping up tension. There's not a lot of people who go into the gym saying, we're going to train my wrists today. No. Which is probably where the shaking comes from. Take a deep breath in. Push down as hard as you safely can. Breathe out. Take another breath in. Here she's going to try to make a fist. Go ahead and squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Hold. Slowly relax. Good. So that is flexion and extension of the wrist. For the elbow, we'll get you to come and lay on your stomach with your hands at your shoulder. So here she's going to slide her elbow down into flexion, we'll do both arms at the same time, bringing the chest down. So she's squeezed off this space here. And so just to make sure that she's at as much range as she can, she's going to come back until you start to feel the back of the elbow pop off the ground. Then you can fight for more space as you push down into the ground. Now you've got full flexion of the elbow. Okay, once you've found that full flexion, start to isometrically ramp up tension by pushing the forearm down into the ground. You're squeezing the space at the elbow. 20% effort, 40% effort, 60% effort, 80%. Maximum safest effort. Squeeze at the elbow while you push your forearm down into the ground without letting your arm pop up. Release the tension. And without letting this part pop up, try to lift the forearm off the ground, squeezing at the elbow. Try not to get the wrist involved. Wrist stays flat. It's almost like I'm sliding that sheet of paper underneath the forearm. Squeeze up. And then allow it to come back down. You should have more joint space pushing back. See how her elbow popped off the ground and then she fixed that? That is more elbow flexion. Push down into the ground. Pushing down with both elbows and the forearm as hard as you safely can. Deep breath. Push down. Breathing out the tension. Try to squeeze more space into the elbow by squeezing up. And then slowly relax back down. Now that you've done your end range work, now you can go into extension. So we'll get her to keep her arm here and her wrist here as she comes up into quadruped. So push up into quadruped. Good. And all she's going to do is turn her elbows forward and then come right back down into that position that she was in. So now come back down into flexion. Good. So that's one. Come back up. Turning the elbows, good. Come back down. That's two. Squeezing at end range. Come back up. Squeezing into extension, same thing. Good, back down. And that is kinetic movement at the elbow. Nobody walks into the gym saying, I'm going to kinetically train my elbow. No. But we need it. You can come back up. So that is Kinstretch for extremities. We covered the toes, we covered the ankles, we covered the knee, we covered the wrist, we covered the elbow. All of the things that are likely not to be on your training plan, but should be. So thank you, Demelza, for giving us a good demonstration of that.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. If you have any questions, please get in touch with me, Steve Piper at Monashi Health Collective. Otherwise, have a great day and look forward to seeing you again.